Welcome to another riveting episode of Real Japan. I'm joined here by my co-host,
Jason.
I'm, of course, Josh. We also have a full gaggle of Annabros here, starting with...
It's me, Stacy!
It's me, Wesley!
And it's me for the first time, Tara.
For you that don't listen to the other podcast, Tara is from our, sister podcast?
Yeah, from the Fujo Sister podcast, Fujoshi Trash Talk.
But it's not our blood-related sister, right?
Doesn't matter.
In Japanese manga, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
This week we were reviewing the Netflix original, right?
Done by Warner Brothers. Yeah, in the beginning it had Warner Brothers Japan.
Yeah, basically the Netflix thing is just, that's how they're marketing it. I mean, it was made by totally different studios and all that, but they just say Netflix original.
Well, and since nobody knows what we're talking about, because we actually haven't said the name of the film yet, we're watching...
We'll just go through the whole thing without saying it. They'll figure it out.
Nobody will figure out this is Bleach.
Oh.
You gave it away!
Spoilers.
Well, there's only so many live-action movies out there done by Netflix and made by Warner Brothers Japan.
Okay.
Yeah, our one savvy listener, Kenny, would probably have figured it out with a quick Google search.
He can use Google?
He's a machine.
Well, okay.
He is Google.
Yeah, he is Google.
So, for those that don't know, Bleach is a very popular shonen-style anime.
It's used to get out stains in clothing.
Yes. They cover that in the 5th arc.
Is that what that? Is that when that shows up?
Yeah. I think one of the more famous things about the manga was that it was made to cut short.
Yeah, like it started off super popular and good, and then I don't know, everybody started hating it at some point, and the quality of the stories went downhill, and then they're like, you know what? You just gotta stop, bro.
That was after, 20 years?
I don't think it made it quite that long, but it was a fairly long-running series.
The reason why is because he kept adding characters. Like, every arc, he'd add a whole new set with backstories and sideline stories that he'd never finish, and then he'd go and add another set, and people were like,
we can't keep track.
We're done.
Yeah, but One Piece keeps going, and I mean...
But they still concentrate on the main. There's still a main set.
No, they keep adding them, Pirates to the Crew. And they're not even pirates. But this is not the point of this podcast, is how bad One Piece is. What we're talking about...
Opinion.
Fact.
Opinion.
So we're watching Bleach. Of course, with all of the live-action adaptations, they usually recreate at least the first bit of the story. Bleach is no different. It kind of covers the first arc and kind of throws in a bit here and there. I think overall, it does a fairly good job with this, and we'll kind of go into that in more detail.
Going into it, keeping tradition, I don't know really anything about Bleach.
And I'm the same. I mean, I exist on the internet, so I know some things about Bleach because it's internet.
It's been there
pop
forever.
Culture now. Yeah, it's been stuck around anime message boards for 20 years, but I've never watched it or read it or given a shit.
I've watched the anime up through...
We watched till the end of it.
All right.
When it got canceled, I guess. We watched till it got canceled. And we saw 1 or 2 of the movies also. I don't remember.
Yeah, the one with the girl that nobody remembers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you didn't remember it.
I don't remember. I forgot. Where it's and now we'll erase everyone's memories of what happened in this movie. So it's like it never happened at all.
I guess on that point, I did see one of the movies. Right now, tonight.
I've seen most of the series and read most of the manga.
Bleach is a story of a young, rebellious boy. Depending on which version you're watching, he may dye his hair or may be natural, but either way, he is a punk. Bratty little kid, knows all, sees dead people.
I see dead people.
And then he meets a girl named Rukia, who is a soul reaper, a Shinigami, that is exercising dead people. And he fights these monsters called hollows, which are caused by...
people that died with grudge.
And they develop a hole in their heart where their be, and that's why they're called hollows. And that's why they have a circle hole, because that's like the anger or the rage develops a hole in their soul.
It's like a Heartless from Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. Wasn't that the plot point in The Boy and the Beast also?
Yeah, it might be. So he meets the girl, and in this movie, when she was in his house, the main job of the Soul Reapers is to exorcise souls that haven't gone to heaven yet.
Well, the Soul Society is not heaven or hell. It's just a 17th century take on Japan.
No,
is where all souls go. I mean, really, the story boils down to boy meets girl. they fight monsters.
He takes her powers accidentally. Oops.
Yeah, I mean, he becomes a Shinigami, but oh no, he's a human, but he's, so special. I mean, it's a shonen show, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same as pretty much all the other ones. There's a huge cast of characters. They all, meet him, fight him, join his side, and they go on to meet and fight other people as well.
And every time he gets stronger and overcomes his next obstacle and gets that much stronger. Shonen.
Exactly. So we'll go through and talk about everyone's favorite parts. Jason?
Well, first off, I gotta ask, who is Chad?
Hey, it wasn't Chad in the first scene, but it was Chad in the following scene.
How does that work? It was the same actor.
It wasn't Chad. The first scene, it was all buttoned up, and that just wasn't Chad. Chad was a South American-based
Hunk?
guy. No, he was always quiet, but he was bigger and
Hot.
Yes.
Sweltering.
yes, hot and sweltering.
Yeah, so Tara didn't like Chad when he first appeared, but then every other scene after that's like, okay, now he's in character.
And he's Chad.
Because he's looking more smoldering.
More South American influenced.
You say
he
that.
was a 100% Japanese guy playing him.
Oh, there's my
Well, I
phone.
did notice that Ichigo, when he was a child, didn't have the orange hair, but when he was a teenager, it suddenly was orange, so that's why it kind of was unclear whether he was dyeing his hair or not.
Oh, so that's where the bleach comes in.
Yes, that's why it's called that, because people say, oh, you bleached your hair, bruh. But he's like, no, it's natural, but in here, his kid version didn't have that, so I guess maybe they thought the wig would look ridiculous on the child. I don't know.
They probably just don't want to promote kids doing punk things like bleaching their hair. I'm honestly going to say that's probably the reason. There's going to be some Japanese law or rule that you don't want to promote delinquency among the youth.
Because in both the manga and the anime, they make an extreme point that the teachers keep telling him to quit dyeing his hair. And he's like, it's natural. I haven't dyed my hair. I don't.
Maybe he's born with it.
Maybe it's
Maybelline.
Yes.
So, yeah, that was Tara's favorite part, is when Chad became Chad and not the first terrible incarnation of him.
Actually, that was my second favorite part.
Oh, so what was your first favorite part then?
When Ichigo dies.
I like it when the main character dies.
Mm-hmm. It works in Konosuba.
Wait. Which death are you talking about?
The initial one who pulls all of Rukia's power. Actually was pretty done well. The hollow was actually done really well, too.
Yeah, you seem to enjoy the CG in this one.
Compared to a lot of other ones, the CG was pretty good. This one.
Like all of Initial D.
Yes.
I'm going to back Tara on this one, actually. For the CG was pretty well done, and in comparison to Japanese live-action anime movies, the acting was pretty well done as well. I had no major qualms with going, like, why did they let him on screen? And the CG was a step up from some of the travesties I've seen before.
That is correct. I think we can all remember Gluttony.
Yeah.
Oh.
From the Full Metal Alchemist Netflix original.
That was
Yes.
that was bad.
It was hilarious.
It was actually pretty great. I'm still just remembering the part when they switch between the CG and then the practical effects when he's waddling after the people in the tunnel. Great part.
Yeah, the acting was alright for Japanese live action. There was a lot of moments where Ichigo's eyes were kind of bugging out, maybe a bit too much and too often. But overall, the line delivery was alright, even if some of the facial expressions may have been a bit over the top, but that's kind of what you expect with Japanese stuff.
I think the one odd guy out, though, was Renji, who was played by a stage actor, and I think a lot of what you saw there was more suited to the stage.
Yeah, I read up on that guy. Apparently, he has primarily played onnagata, or female roles, in live-action stage productions. And from what his Wikipedia said, he didn't really enjoy that. So maybe that's why he's doing live-action movies now. Is because he's I don't really want to play a girl. He was still very pretty though. Though he had a terrible bad cosplay wig that was just didn't look good
And
at
to
all.
be fair, the first time I saw him, the first thing I said is he really acts like a drag queen.
Yes, Tara saw it coming from a mile away.
But is that just because of all the facial expressions and such that he was just kind of selling the part?
He was throwing off attitude.
He had the diva inside.
Oh, he had the diva.
I liked him. I thought that was a fun character.
Yeah, I think the stage acting and stuff like that kind of play well with that character, because it kind of a shonen style, kind of over the top, masculine and stuff like that. But it was still a little odd seeing it next to non-stage actors.
True, but like what Stacey was just saying about Ichigo bugging his eyes out a little too much, or Renji being the stage actor, I think it really fits well with the manga background. Because I know, like with GTO, when the live action for that came before the anime, when they went to make the anime, they were like, "Holy crap! Look at what the live action actor did with his crazy facial expressions. Let's just copy that for the anime." Because he did it so well, and it worked really well. So I think it's going for the comic effect in live action. Sometimes you can do it really badly, but I think it kind of worked here.
Mm-hmm.
They also had Miyavi, who's a visual K rocker, playing Byakuya in the movie, which, I mean, he's primarily a musician, so maybe the acting was a bit flat, and I know Tara had problems with his hairstyle. No comment.
Explain to us, Tara, why you didn't like his hairstyle.
No, his hairstyle matched both the anime and the manga, so it was what it was supposed to be. I still don't understand why he looks like he's wearing shingles in his hair, but that's what it was drawn, so... And I'm sure there's probably a purpose for them at some point that I don't know, but...
As a complete outsider, what I kept seeing a lot of, or getting a lot of, was it seemed to be a lot of Buddhism, in a way, and so I don't know if there's some of this that's going to be coming back, that maybe the outfits or things like that would tie back into Buddhism, believes just the whole idea of being reborn in the caste system, just a lot of how the characters were dressed and those types of things. So maybe there's something to do with that or not. I have no idea, having not read or explored more of Bleach.
Well, Buddhism is deeply ingrained in Japanese society.
Yeah.
And so anything that has to do with death and stuff like that is going to have the Buddhist symbolism and everything else as part of that. It's the same as, using Dante's Inferno or whatever else to describe hell in a Western setting. You could just do that and people are automatically going to assume certain things that you can just rely on to be able to tell your story without having to spend so much detail on kind of evolving the world. So yeah, having these little symbols here and there are going to be in there. I mean, they have rosary beads. Later on, his sword does have the manji or the swastika symbol. Not the one used by the Nazis. Just want to put that out there.
It's the reverse one, right?
Yeah.
Which is a symbol for Buddhist temples that you'll find on maps in Japan and stuff like that. So, again, just like you're saying, it's drawing from Buddhism.
Yeah.
So, any Japanese person seeing that sword is going to think Buddhist. Most Westerners are going to see it and go, Nazis.
Well, that didn't even come up in this movie anyway.
Yeah, but we're still talking about the look
Different
and feel
influences.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They had to condense quite a lot into this because it was like first arc, and Tara, you said it was also part of an OVA?
Yeah. So, in the movie itself, the final creature that he ends up attacking is actually its own OVA in the anime, and it actually isn't even covered in the first arc. Like, it's kind of its own separate short where he kills... I don't know if I should be giving away
Drop
the
spoilers.
ending.
Yeah,
It's whatever happens in the movie, so...
He kills the ghost that kills his mom, but that was like its own little arc, separate from any of the first arc, if I remember correctly.
Well, yeah, because usually the deeper origin stories are done later in the story once you become more develop out other backgrounds and details. So they kind of took a part of the first arc where he becomes a Soul Reaper, plus the part from this. We say OVA in this house.
Oh, I'm sorry. OVA.
Or for old school, we say OAV because that's how people said it back then.
Yeah. Those were the days.
Well, and also, they added some things that will be more important in the future, but because they couldn't fit them in the first arc, they just kind of, threw them in, like Chad gaining super strength, which happens in the anime when the school is attacked by a hollow. And Ichigo is still denying stuff at the point, but that's one of the reasons why he realizes he needs to fight, is because he defends his friends from a hollow. And that's how Chad ends up with his powers, is because he's exposed to a hollow and spiritual energy. And then he becomes stronger. So they kind of threw that in the movie during a major fight that Ichigo was having as a side note. Because it's going to be more important later on when they... Apparently there's a second movie?
Yeah, this is going to be part of a trilogy.
Okay, so the second arc, when you head to the Soul Society... it becomes more important later on. So they did have to throw that in, and it was okay that they threw it in, because it's going to matter later on. But if you didn't know that, it's kind of a, why did you randomly...
Yeah, because besides that, Chad wasn't really doing much. He was just kind of in the background, and then he just had one moment where it's like, okay, now I caught this sign that was flying through the window. And, but I guess if they're planning a trilogy, then you can't expect all the characters to do anything right away. Like Orihime didn't really do anything in this movie besides go, oh, I hope Ichigo notices me.
And she actually plays a huge part in once again, the second arc, when she learns to become a healer.
Everybody needs a white mage.
You got to spec early, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that's one thing I kind of liked about the Bleach movie is because I think they were taking the longer view of doing multiple movies. They didn't try and cram everything in. There's a lot of references, and they kind of show the characters that will become more of important in the second movie, rather than just being like, and here's this person, this person, this person. I mean, it's kind of like if you guys watch one of our earlier episodes, The Blade of the Immortal, there's a lot of characters in there where it does kind of show up just for the sake of showing up and then disappearing.
They don't do anything with them.
Yeah.
Where at this one, they introduce them, they're kind of hanging out. They have a small piece where hinting at getting ready for something else.
Yeah, well, because most people aren't going to get into Bleach by watching this movie first. They're probably going to watch the anime or the manga, especially with a Japanese audience.
Yep.
And so there it is, again, assuming that you're going to know who all these characters are. And so when they do these little quick intros, that's all they really need to do.
But it's kind of weird, because a lot of times in Japan, when they make an anime adaptation or a live-action adaptation, the idea isn't to make money on the adaptation, it's to get people to go buy the manga. But in this case, the manga's been canceled because it didn't sell well. So it's in a weird place where they're not making the movie to sell more manga, but they're also not making the movie to appeal to new audiences.
Well, but people kind of go back and purchase... I mean, they still sell the volumes and everything else.
Yeah.
Maybe the manga creators planning something.
I mean, they just re-released Slam Dunk.
Yeah, but Slam Dunk's always been popular. It didn't get canceled for people hating it.
I don't like it.
Hey.
You've never even read it or watched it.
Basketball.
Yeah, but good basketball. None of that crazy magical bullshit like Kuroke no Basket.
Hey!
Oh, fight.
I like Kuroke no Basket.
It's crazy magical bullshit. It's the Prince of Tennis of basketball.
I like Prince of Tennis.
Okay,
And
right.
we all know that nobody likes Prince of Tennis.
We gotta switch spots.
I like Prince of Tennis.
No, but I guess it's coming back to one of my issues that I had with the movie, and that it didn't like have a contained story on its own. You kind of are like, well, we don't know what these guys are doing, but they're pissed at Rukia for reasons that they kind of hint at but don't tell you unless you're already familiar with the property. And so we have to go against them. And we have this weird little witch girl who can turn into a tree beast. And she might have done something, and oh no, wait, she did something horrible, and so we gotta face her. But there's not really a setup. It's not like, oh, Rukia tells him, yeah, there's this crazy little girl that goes around killing people. And he's like, crazy little girl, that's the bitch that killed my mom. But then there's not like they have to go track her down or anything. She just kind of shows up again and attacks his sisters. Or you've got the whole thing with Rukia's higher-ups in her soul society or her group of the soul society or however that works. Because again, her pseudo-family that she was raised to join but isn't actually, she's a member of but not a blood member of or something. I don't know. Again, they didn't explain it too clearly.
Japanese adoption rules.
Yeah, okay. But it's also like a military group. It's almost like a soul Shinsengumi that she was raised to join.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
You understand more of this than you're giving yourself credit for.
Okay, well that's just because I know Japanese culture. And so she breaks a rule in there, but as you're saying, that's going to be coming in Arc 2 where you explore all the soul societies, so that's going to be your second movie. So I guess if I were to take this movie and put it into a Western context, it's the Fellowship of the Ring, where on its own, not much really happens. It's just setting up a lot for Two Towers and Return of the King.
Yeah.
I mean, we have our big fight at the end where Boromir gets killed by the Uruk-hai, and he sits there staring into the light as you're pretty sure something's going to be happening in movie 2. Sorry, I said Boromir, but in this movie it's Ichigo. While Rukia runs off with two other guys. Sorry, while Sam runs off with Frodo. Shit, I'm getting them all confused now. But that's kind of what happened here, is that when I first saw Fellowship of the Ring, after the movie was over, there was a guy in the toilet next to me who was talking to his friend who goes, that was the worst movie ever, nothing happened. And I'm like, well, there's 2 more movies to come. What do you mean nothing's happened? You gotta watch the other 2 movies. And I'm kind of feeling like that, except for I'm that guy now coming out of this movie where I'm going, what the hell just happened? I mean, yeah, it was pretty to watch, and I thought the acting was pretty decent for a live-action Japanese flick, which can be really hit or miss, anime or not. But I don't know what I got out of it.
I'm wondering, though, if this isn't like that nostalgic thing. I can't believe I'm saying this, but we're taking the age where Ichigo started almost 10, 15 years ago, so you have people who grew up with it. If it's not aimed for that audience, not as to bring things back, but to... Because we're hitting that age where things that we as kids are now being made into movies and stuff just for nostalgia reasons, just to hit us and get us to the theater.
Yeah, well, okay, we're older than that, Tara. She's lying to you, all of you people. We're older than that. This is not when we were kids watching it. That would be Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon.
Okay,
we were middle-aged when this came out.
I'm I'm not talking, but it wasn't aimed at us specifically. I'm wondering, the people who are younger at that age are hitting the age where stuff is starting to be aimed at them.
Well, again, I mean, this movie, along with a lot of other live-action Japanese adaptations, are geared towards people who've already seen it. It's not geared towards the new people or anything else, or it is, oh, this is kind of interesting, I don't get what's going on. Oh, wait, there is, 500 chapters of this that I can go read, and then I will find out more. So, I mean, this is a standard issue that you find with, like I said, with a lot of Japanese adaptations.
But I thought that, Full Metal Alchemist did it better. Because Full Metal Alchemist, I think, didn't just ask a lot of questions and leave them there. Full Metal Alchemist still had a story in there where it's like, we're going to set up a villain, we're going to prop him up, we're going to show our heroes ramping up and defeating him.
Mm.
I didn't get that in this. I had a bunch of little minor kind of monster of the week roadblock type things. To me, this would be like, to go back to the Sailor Moon idea, if you were to make a Sailor Moon movie and you put in a couple of Monster of the Week Yoma coming to steal, what were they doing in the first season?
Energy.
Energy, yeah, Heart Crystals was season 3 or something. And you just had a couple of those, and then maybe there's a hint that there's some weird Queen Beryl in the background, but you never get there. That's kind of what this movie felt like to me.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just showed me that as a movie instead of just a 20 minutes a week as a TV show, I don't know if I'd keep watching it. That's the problem I had with this movie.
Well, like I said, the director was always planning on doing this as 3 parts.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, this is considered as season 1 compressed down into 90 minutes. And it would probably be better, much like that guy in the toilet that you were eavesdropping on. Once the other movies come out, that might be the point where people should really come in and watch it.
Sure.
And they can just binge all 3. Although trying to binge, 9 hours?
12.
12? All the Lord of the Rings stuff at once?
And I think I did have the benefit of, when I went into that one, of I like Lord of the Rings. So I knew what was going to be happening in Fellowship of the Ring, and that's what happened. And I went, oh, that was cool. Let's wait for Two Towers. And I don't have that same background with this, like Tara was saying.
Right.
Well, exactly. And that's why we like to have people that have different
backgrounds with and familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
It gives different perspectives on how does the movie resonate with people who have never seen it or have seen it. Much like with when we were reviewing Jinro, what were people remembering and stuff like that. So, what's our next topic?
The white kimono spirit.
Coming back to the whole Japanese death culture in the movie, it seemed weird to me that they specifically call out that after Rukia gives Ichigo her spirit powers, they shift her from the Reaper outfit to a corpse outfit, just a pure white kimono. But they don't bother swapping which side is over the other to make her actually look like a corpse. She's still wearing it like a live person would.
Okay.
And then
left over the right versus right over the left. Is that what it is?
Left over right would be for a live person, and right over left would be for a dead person.
Okay.
So she's wearing it left over right the whole movie. And all the Shinigami are, even though they're kind of spirits, and every time a live person sees them, like, whoa, you can see me? What the hell's going on?
Maybe they're Chinese.
I don't think so.
In China, it's the reverse for alive and dead, so.
Yeah, the people in the Soul Society aren't quite dead, per se. They kind of go into their roles later, so they're not like just dead people. Exactly.
But for the one specifically, when they make sure to change her outfit as the light flashes and he gains her powers, I was like, well, that's kind of odd.
Well, for that one, it just seemed like it, again, without knowing all the backstory, it was just she lost her black robe, so now she doesn't have all of her extra powers that she should have as a Soul Reaper.
But, I mean, if you're going for this, going back to Wesley's point of, how much do you need to know to be watching this film and getting stuff, there really isn't anything stated that like the black robes or her powers or anything like that. I mean, just her, not being able to get up and anything else or other ways of conveying that. So it's kind of an odd choice to have her switch over to that robe, because, later she just shows up in the school uniform.
Yeah, nothing else.
Just magically transferred over, no registration card.
Yeah.
No home address.
She's living in Ichigo's closet, reading his Bleach manga that was on the shelf in his bedroom.
Yeah, you want to know what's coming next. Always investigate your enemies. Know what they're going to do before they do.
Well, but they didn't. Not all the characters acted exactly the same. Tara was disappointed throughout the movie that Byakuya seemed like more of an asshole than he was in the original series.
I disagree. I think he was equally an asshole. I didn't really see much of a difference between how he was portrayed in the anime and how he was portrayed in the live action. He just sat there and looked pretty and disapproved of Rukia's actions.
Touche. He did sit there, look pretty, and disapproved. But I don't remember him headed to Earth.
I think they actually do that scene, at least in the anime, where they come to get Rukia
Yeah, I think they come to get Rukia, but I don't remember him.
Adapting the whole fight scene. And
Yeah,
stuff.
that's totally.
I think they had that. There was a whole fight scene with Ichigo versus Renji, and then Ichigo versus Byakuya at the end.
It wasn't a fight scene, it was a smackdown.
There was a smackdown.
One-sided.
Yeah, which... Yeah, I mean, it was a cool action scene, but I mean, it's been like 10 years since I saw the first part of Bleach. I don't think that happened in the series.
Well, I mean, they have the abductor. They're not just going to show up in an unmarked van and grab her off the street and then drive back to the Soul Society.
I mean, and that brings in Get a Bullshit Guy.
Oh, yes.
Or as Tara called them for decades, Umeboshi.
Not decades, but years, yes, Umeboshi. Get a Bullshit Guy. And the only reason I call him Get a Bullshit Guy is because in the anime, Ichigo called him Get a Bullshit Guy because he didn't know his name for forever, so he was always just the Get a Bullshit Guy. Which, once again, they kind of introduced him, but he doesn't really make much sense unless he's the context of future movies. Like, he's just this kind of mysterious guy, which he kind of was in the first arc in the anime and in the manga, but...
He seemed cooler.
Well, yeah, definitely seemed cooler in both anime and manga. But if you don't know who he is or anything, he's just kind of this weird random dude who shows up and has no plot in the first one. Like, he doesn't contribute anything.
I think that's just going to be dropping in some fan favorites because based on the fact you still see cosplayers for him at conventions, American conventions, yes. But the fact that without even knowing Bleach, I would see him all over conventions and I'd always know, oh, that's that Bleach dude. That could be just an easy, people really like him, we've got to drop him in here.
Right. And he was mostly just there to drop the main plot point of Rukia is in a fake body. And she showed up at his shop to get a new battery.
And then he showed up when they were fighting to say that Ichigo was going to fight for his life.
And then he just walked off.
Yeah.
He looked out of place in the
Strange
setting.
man. Hey, your friend's going to fight for his life. Goodbye.
Bye. I'll see you again later.
Well, yeah, because he knows there's 2 more movies.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
See me again in 40 more chapters.
Yeah. Let's see. Other characters like Uryu showed up in this too, which I think he was also someone who didn't become more relevant till a bit later than this arc in Bleach, from what I remember. And Uryu and everyone else are always hanging out at Rob's Burgers, the one fast food place in town. In fact, when Ichigo's like, oh shit, I need to go find Uryu, he just ran straight to Rob's Burger because they have nowhere. Because I guess that was the only restaurant set that they had.
Actually, in the first arc, he was important because he challenged Ichigo to a battle, and he's the one who let out a hollow trap.
Oh, okay.
And he gathered them all because he was going to beat them all, and then he realized he couldn't, and then Ichigo had to go in and save his ass and all that.
Okay, I think I've forgotten.
Yeah,
I've forgotten parts of Bleach.
He did that in this movie too when he released the hollow Pokeball.
Yes.
But he only got one, and the other one he ended up calling 50. And then he was like, ooh, wait.
Yeah, budget.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to animate 50 hollows, so you're just going to do the one.
It was also a stone disc, so more Monster Rancher than Pokeball.
Oh, you're right.
Come on, man.
But yeah, Uryu's archery stuff was pretty cool to look at. Then at the end, he just got stabbed and fell to the ground, and it seemed like he was dead. And then the next day, he just showed up in class like nothing happened.
No, it was clearly on the other side. It was not a fatal blow. You have 2 lungs for a reason.
And if you forget, obviously your body heals itself automatically.
Yeah, mind over body.
Well, there was Ichigo's one friend who kept making jokes about, oh no, Ichigo was in a horrible accident, and oh, he's dead. And Ichigo walks in, no, I'm fine. Which I guess was a fun gag. Orihime kept getting tricked by it every single time. But
I think that's the way they tried to portray, because in both the manga and the anime, she's very, very stereotypically cloudy, dreamer, always in her head, loves fairies, and randomly trusts after things. So by making her gullible to falling for each time, they're trying to show the way she really was set up as.
Yeah, they also seem to have her much more open about her crush on Ichigo, talking about it with her friend, right at the beginning. Oh, he's so dreamy. Whereas before it was
Sweet fashion shoot?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and in her mind, he had, picturing Ichigo in this, modeling fashion shoot going on as she talked to the other girl I wonder if that's the tomboy girl.
That's the tomboy girl.
Because
they didn't
they said
introduce her
her
at all.
name, but she's also I mean, she also has a bigger role later on, but...
Well, she has a bigger role, like, in the beginning, because she's the one that, more does a lot more with what her kid does, where she's, like, punching him and making him not late for school and everything else. I mean, my biggest problem with her Hime portrayal is that she didn't really add anything to the plot.
Yeah, her plot was quite flat compared to how she was drawn in the anime and manga.
So they had a lot of fight choreography in here that I wanted to bring up for you guys. Because there's Bleach, it's all about, or everybody's got a sword. I mean, the Bakuya, that's a kind of a big thing that everybody's with the sword, so there's a lot of sword fighting. It's all kind of samurai style in a sense. They seem to put a decent amount of effort into the choreography in this one.
Well, I definitely think so. And then the fight between Ichigo and Renji, I think, were kind of helped by going back to Renji's Barbie stage acting, where they would do more of that. I mean, it's a lot more stylized, but I think at least in the movies and stuff like that, he's a little bit more comfortable in doing that. Like you're saying, it's a shonen show, so the fights are important.
Right.
I think they did a rather good job of setting everything up. They did kind of have like this weird area of town where they were fighting and nobody was around or anything else like that.
Well, they had one training ground that was like under the bridge, and the one that was in this park where people were just walking by, and like Ichigo and Ruki are just like going at it with like Boken, and like nobody really cares to stop and watch, except for the classmates are like, ooh, like they're on a date or something.
Well, the thing about that, I agree with him at the end, is it was a tornado because nobody can see the big bad hollow except for people with high spiritual power. So there was a tornado through town, things were on fire, but nobody's there.
Yeah, no firemen, no police officers.
Yeah, nobody wanted to come check out what happened in that disaster area. They just left it nice and free so Ichigo could fight Renji, and then, well, I guess with Renji we saw, beginning the concept of, their swords can evolve, the Zanpakuto thing, where it became all stretchy and that. So that's kind of a preview, I guess, to when Ichigo will later power up his weapon as well.
They did show a lot of people running away when the hollow first was raging through. When you first see the whatever giant vine little girl monster bashing through the walls and coming around the corner, you can see people walking down the little alleyways, and all of a sudden they turn as the corner gets smashed and go, what the hell is happening? And they run off, or then it's smashed around the corner, you have people running there.
Well, yeah, but then what about the first responders? I mean, there's explosions, there's fire.
There is a bus randomly flying through the air.
To any of that.
Yeah. It's a tornado. All tornado.
Well, and it's apparently whatever is used to placebo off, or not placebo, but...
they tend to mind wipe people.
Yeah.
Both in the anime, they do this a lot. Or that when something happens in the real world, they do things to deal with this. Like I said, erase their memories. Forgot he got stabbed through the back.
Well, actually, in the manga and in the anime, once again, if you've watched them or read them, in the very first scene when his sister gets attacked, she actually almost dies, which sets him off. And then the next day, everything's fine and she's alive because they've healed her and made her forget. So that's not necessarily an unknown concept in the Bleach. They just didn't really explain it well, and then they used it in the end. Well,
because usually what they have also done, though, is they do take the time to explain it, or the fact that they can put up wards around areas. I mean, that was a big plot point when the later arcs, when they're fighting the, Aizen, or whatever his name was. Spoilers. And they kind of create a whole fake Kamakura town for them to fight in, so nobody is bothered by anything type thing. So, yeah, again, it's there. I think they could have spent, the 3 seconds to explain it.
I agree. They could have spent the 3 seconds to explain it.
Yeah, because you're really kind of hanging out that one more so, I think, than on other points.
Who does the mind wiping? Do they have their own Men in Black Soul Society?
Yeah, I didn't see anybody with the look at the pen thing.
Well, because
they do.
The one that confuses me is the first one that you're talking about with the little sister. Mm-hmm. Because the only people involved in the fight were him and Rukia. And Rukia is now depowered, so she's not mind-wiping people. And based on his confusion, he wasn't mind-wiping people. So some other Soul Society person comes along and goes, shit, this shows all the signs of a hollow. Fuck! Gotta mind-wipe this random child on the street here. But her big brother, who's wearing Soul Society gear and reeks of spiritual energy, I'm gonna leave him be. I don't know what's going on there.
Well, it's a plot hole. It really is. I think there is a Shinigami who's assigned to Kamakura Town that kind of shows up later. So, I don't know, I guess he might have wandered by. But at the same time, when they're like, oh, like a truck hit the house.
Yeah.
And which is weird, because they fixed all the cars that, the Hollow smashed up in the initial fight.
But not the big hole in the house.
Yeah, they're kind of dicks about it. There's a point about that. Spoiler, Ichigo's father is a renegade from the Soul Society. So they probably were like, you know what, we're not going to fix up his house.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Kurosaki, he's a dick.
And there's actually, although they did imply it in the movie and the anime manga, he's actually much harder on his son. Like, shows where he gets all his fighting ability. It's not just like this miraculous thing. Like
he bumps.
Headbutts?
Yeah, he headbutts him in the
ear.
Wherever on the face as soon as he walks in the house because he's a minute late.
They eat dinner as a family.
Yeah, they sure do. He walked right out of the house.
And then actually, his sisters both get some form of spiritualism, one a little bit more than the other, because they also are from the same father. Ooh, yet again, later on. But,
I was just glad to see the twins from The Shining are still in acting. No wonder they're going to get spiritual energy.
Yeah, they're still so young.
I'm distracted by The Shining, sorry. He stopped my train of thought.
Come play with us.
Come on, Tara.
Tera ne-chan asobo.
Don't go into room 246. Oh.
Is it 240 fucks?
246.
Okay.
I don't actually know
Yes.
what the room number it is. Whatever room, you don't go into the room. The lady's there waiting for you.
Nice.
So it was an enjoyable 2 hours. You would enjoy it much more if you have any kind of exposure to Bleach or watched it, I don't know how many years ago when it was on. You would enjoy it more. It has some huge plot holes and has some things that won't be explained or were not explained unless you, once again, have had previous exposure. But it was an enjoyable 2 hours for me. I would probably do 4 Shinigamis out of 5.
Ooh. 4 Shinigamis out
I
of
would
5.
do 4 Shinigamis. I can name them too.
Oh, yes, tell us.
No.
What?
Yeah.
Yakuya?
Listen
Renji?
to Fujoshi's Trash Talk on
Bleach. Ichigo.
AndyBrosCreative.com.
He's a little young now, and Chad.
Chad, oh.
I'm pretty sure Byakuga is just that daddy Byakugan guy from Naruto. He's stern, he's disapproving, he hates his daughter. I mean, it's the same character.
It's the same character. Well, exactly. With
Even
so
the
many
name's
characters,
the same.
it's all stock characters. Yeah. When you start writing a new manga, you just go back into the studio closet and you just pull out all those little random stock characters and just give them a new name.
Yeah.
Jason?
Yeah, I think overall, kind of what Tara said was you kind of have to know a little bit more going into this. With Full Metal, yes, I knew it going in, but it seemed a little more to kind of tell a story without having to fully know all the backstory, where this one you definitely needed to know more. So, but overall, movie itself was decent, except for some of the plot holes and stuff that just aren't explained right away. So yeah, 2.5 Zanpakutos out of 5.
Since I watched Bleach quite a few years ago, I don't remember everything too well, but it seemed to fairly accurately go over some of the early plot points in a condensed manner while setting up for future movies. So yeah, I think it was an enjoyable time. Good fight choreography and stuff like that, so I'll give it 3 Rob's Burgers out of 5.
Well, I've talked about some of my issues with the film. Very similar to what Jason was just saying, in that I don't think it stood alone as well as some of the other things we've watched. But I did think the acting was pretty good. I thought the CGI for a film like this was pretty well done. Visually, I mean, the film did a great job in what it was setting out to do. Bleach has been around for years. I've never felt the itch to go start it before. And this movie's not giving me the itch to continue it. If they come out with films 2 and 3, I'd probably only really watch it if I was sitting with friends who'd seen it or had more interest. So I'm probably going to give it, I think, 2 training montages out of 5. Just technically sound, I guess, for what it did, but didn't capture me.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Wesley on this. The movie itself didn't really draw me in. I've seen the anime itself. I wasn't really captivated by the original. This one here, technically speaking, pretty solid. I mean, the CGI was a lot better than what we saw in Fullmetal Alchemist or Tokyo Ghoul or other ones. And yeah, the acting was better, so, hopefully the second movie picks up. But for the first movie, I'm going to give it 2 unexplained side characters out of 5. That's a review of Bleach, the Netflix original. You guys can debate what the Netflix original moniker means. Be sure to check us out at
AndyBrosCreative.com.
and check out our sister podcast.
like Fujoshi Trash Talk.
But catch us next time where we will watch another live-action adaptation. Thank you for watching. This is Josh.
This is Jason.
This has been Stacy.
This is Tara.
And this is Wesley. Also follow us on Twitter at AnnaBrosCreative for random shit posts and a kind of bipolar account based on who's got the Twitter handle that day.
Yeah, if you see a bunch of Dragon Ball, then it's fully Stacy.
Whoever's this balls is probably
Yes.
We're out.